Good evening, everyone. Making sure the mic is on because it does that thing now where it's turning my mic off. So I got to make sure the mic is turned on. Thanks, everybody, and welcome to This Week from Rockdale. And I am your host, Larry Cox. So I wanted to remind everyone that if you happen to be on my personal page, make sure to either go to Cox from Rockdale, This Week from Rockdale, or the YouTube page if you wish to interact in the chat. So now I am going to say hello to some people in the chat. So Charlotte Geller, welcome to the show. Jill Oden, welcome to the show. Mary Boysworth, welcome to the show. Danielle Munoz, welcome to the show, Danny. Marie Withers, Bill Campbell, Dan Burks, Catherine Lynn, welcome to the show, everyone. I am so glad to have all you here tonight on the show this week from Rockdale. Clayton, Oregon, Cheryl Moulton. Glad to have you guys on the show tonight. It's an honor to have every one of my Rockdale County citizens join the show tonight. Like I told you a few weeks ago, maybe a show or two ago, do some things to start promoting the show and building up the audience. We're going to do some ads and some different things to build the audience, spread the word out here. We've got these ways to share information with people that we can do on shows like This Week from Rockdale, and we have access to the internet through YouTube's and Facebook and other outlets. So, we need to take advantage of these outlets to share information with people so they know what's going on and they're better informed. So we're going to start doing some ads here at the first of the year, starting to promote the show a little more so people can come and do the show. We're going to try to get a few more guests to come on the show. Mr. Kelichick and I keep missing each other about him being a guest on the show. We will iron that down because water is very important to our everyday lives, and I really want to get Mr. Kelichick on the show and talk about the investigation that he's doing into our water here in Rockdale County and our reservoir. And it's very important for us in Rockdale County to know what the state of our water is and our infrastructure. Now that the county has a pretend infrastructure task force in operation, and I don't have any qualms about saying it's a pretend infrastructure task force because they intend not accomplishing anything. This is just a task force for task force sake's name, just like the judiciary courthouse task force is nothing more than a task force for the namesake of having a task force. Because what decisions and what's going to happen in this county have already been made by three incompetent individuals that sit on our board of commission right now. And I also don't have a problem saying that we have three incompetent individuals sitting on our board of commission at this time. And people might not like it that I say that, think I may be mean, but I'm speaking the truth. That's what most people think and are afraid to say it because they're afraid there might be consequences that these three individuals might come at you. Come on, baby, come on. Come on with your incompetent self, because I don't really fear incompetence. If they were intelligent and competent individuals, may have a little bit of fear there. I wouldn't fear them even then, to be honest with you. Going to be honest with you. So, and I told somebody the other day, I'm an employee, there's either two options, one option or the other. And this is an individual who works there. I'm not going to call out the name yet. We'll later on at some point. But there's either incompetence or corruption. It's either incompetence or corruption. Could be a combination of both. Could be a combination of incompetence and corruption. And time will tell. Time will tell. Definitely some of the decisions that have been made over the last 6 years are definitely incompetence that may have been driven by greed and by corruption. because incompetent decisions and incompetence can be an outside source or a catalyst can get decisions. So that's what I think. Clayton asked how many people are on the task force, and I believe that 30 is a accurate number. 30, and that's also, there are also department heads and deputies and such. And I think Charlotte may have sent an email out to some people that included the individuals that were on there that the county sent out that were Rockdale County government employees. So I think there is a list floating around of individuals who are county employees, and then also Mr. Kilichek took a picture of the sign-in sheet for the citizen committee, and I think there were only 6 or 7 of the citizens who had shown that night by the time he took the picture. I believe he told me maybe 2 or 3 additional showed up, and on that list there were actually individuals who did not live in Rockdale County who were sitting on the task force. And it's a shame when you have competent individuals who live in the county who are bypassed and not put on committees that impact this county over citizens that live outside of Rockdale County and not within the borders of Rockdale County. So that's a shame when you have county government that isolates and doesn't include citizens in Rockdale County, but will include citizens that live outside of the jurisdiction of Rockdale County. Judy Bond, welcome to the show tonight. Great to have you here. So guys, let's go ahead and if we could do what I asked you guys to do. I talked about us going to do some advertising and different things to promote the show. So if you could like and share the show at this time, if you're a fan of the show, if you would like and share the show right now, that will grow our audience, and people later on will see them on your feed and they'll watch the show. And we have a lot of people who watch the show after the fact. So so if we would do that, that would be very interesting. Angela Sparrow, hello, how you doing? Catherine, I have asked that question in the past. As far as why there are people who are appointed, and most of them are what they consider influencers, and also they're people who won't buck, even though they don't agree with possibly what the chairman and the commissioners are doing. There are people who won't talk back against it or cause a ruckus and won't ask questions. Now that's who is usually picked for those type of committees. Qualification has little to do with it. Friendliness has the most to do with it. When they pick individuals to sit on these boards and things, I think we can look, for example, the courthouse committee is or task force is a much smaller task force, and it's a very pro commission, pro not cause controversy committee. That's you can look at that committee and tell that then and just point blank that's a committee that will not talk back in class. They don't raise the hard questions in public. Behind the scenes, may ask some questions, and when the answers come back ridiculous, they don't highlight those. So it's similar thing with the task force for infrastructure. It will be individuals who will not buck the system or criticize the outcome or be critical of the committee not performing task or actually doing a good job. That's what they like to do. Now they appointed a wild committee to the courthouse committee back in 2018, and that's why I think that was actually a very effective committee, is because it was a group of individuals who bucked the system, didn't go along with everything. We're not the go along crowd. They ask a lot of hard questions. They did not let the consultants steer them in a specific direction. They challenged that authority, and that was not liked by this current commission and these three individuals who lack clarity or direction, which run our county at this time. They did not like that because it's not the echo chamber that they were insisting on. At least two of the citizens have opposed zoning decisions before. That's great that they've opposed zoning things before, but they very rarely appoint individuals who are going to give them too much of a difficult time. But that's the kind of individuals that are appointed to those boards. And most of the time, when people that are on something like that pose zoning things, it's because it impacts them directly. So not that they're doing it for the good of the community. There are a lot of people in this room who oppose a lot of zoning that's went on, and it didn't impact them directly, but it impacted their neighbor. And they knew if it wasn't good for their neighbor, that eventually it wasn't going to be good for them. And they see that if this county imposes resolutions and bylaws and zoning regulations that are not good for you or not good for your neighbor, eventually they're going to impose things that are not good for you. You got to remember, the chairman has been very clear about what he believes. He's made this comment many times. Rockdale County is not Bayberry anymore. Well, I never thought Rockdale was Mayberry, but I did think it was a nice, quiet place to live with low density housing. And it's too small of an area to actually even think of the high density that we are doing. And so that's an issue, guys. So, we need to have a commission that represents the whole county, and not just the center part of the county and the city of Conyers. I've said this many times. The city of Conyers has a lot of representation. I mean, they've got a city council and a mayor. They have represented quite well. They don't need the commission to also represent them, because that's what this commission does. This commission represents the city more than it does the outskirts outside of the boundaries of the city limits of Conyers. So, and that's why I think it would be great to have commission districts, and those districts be set up, and you have specific commissioners that represent North and South Rockdale, rather than just the city of Conyers being represented, because you have two commissioners that live within the city, and the chairman himself represents as if he is representing the city also, whether he admits it or not. That's my perspective of it, and that's my outlook of it. I, in the past, have given the city some leadway and given them a break on this or that. But with their move of the high density housing and some of the things they've done here in the recent activities with that, no longer can I give them a pass on their incompetence on what they're doing, because when we tie up all of our water and sewer resources on these housing apartments, townhomes, and then we don't have the capacity to add for business, then we've not done ourselves any favor or any justice. Like I said, I believe that we should maintain our low density housing model. We should have low density housing even in the South and North Rockdale areas. I do not favor high density housing in the second smallest landmass county in Rockdale County. And this high density housing move is only a move to gain tax. It's a move to gain housing units so that you can tax more housing units and get more property taxes for the city, the county, and the Board of Education. That's all this move is about. It's all a revenue source for the government entities that reside within the borders of Rockdale County. And as citizens, we've got to be very, very cautious of this kind of activity occurring within our boundaries. And I encourage you in the future that we should be very cautious as to what we do uh, as far as that concerns. Let's see, voices are up. Well, no one that doesn't live in Rockdale should be on any committee. I agree with that 1,000%, Corliss. And when they had the other courthouse task force back in 2018, we actually raised Cain about that, and there were several out members who were on that committee that were actually removed. Most notably was the pastor of Springfield Baptist Church, and it was well, it was individuals like that. So most of the time when they do put these outside county members on these committees, are people of influence like pastors and business owners and such. And we appreciate that they own a business or pastor a church in our community. By the end of the day, they themselves do not live in our community, so they should have. So if they want someone representing their business or their church to be on a committee, then they should suggest individuals who actually are members of their church. And then here we go. You guys are calling them out. I didn't call them out, but yes, that's exactly right. You had these individuals that were put on that committee a few years ago. But if they have a business in Rockdale County or they have a ministry in Rockdale County, they should suggest someone who lives in the county that is associated with that business or ministry be on the panel, and they themselves not be on the panel. Because if they live in Newton County or Henry County, then they should serve in Newton or Henry County. You should serve where you lay your head at night, where you sleep, where you pay property taxes on your personal property, on your home. That's where you should serve on committees. So and that's what I believe. And so I think we should, like we talked about what infrastructure was on our previous show, and we went down about some what different categories. And parks is a form of infrastructure. Yes, Bill Campbell, where you vote. So parks should be is a form of infrastructure, and like I mentioned, you can be over capacity on certain types of infrastructure, and then that takes away from other infrastructure types. So Rockdale County is heavy in park infrastructure. So one of the recommendations that I will make when running for county commissioner in 2024 is that we reduce the park services in Rockdale County. The number one park that I would want to reduce right off the bat is costly meal. I would like to sell costly meal. And if we can't sell it, then I would like to approach the state as taking it over as possibly a state facility rather than a county facility, because costly meal it's got the appropriate name, costly. Uh, it will continue to be costly to the citizens of Rockdale County, even if someone takes the helm of the county and they're not running Costly Camille as a private park, a private venue just for the county and the county commissioners. Because that's what I see this facility as now. I see it as the commissioner's private venue. And we can't continue to have this thing that way anymore. So that's the way we go. Someone mentioned they saw a weapon on my desk. Yes, you do see a weapon on my desk, because I believe in the right to carry, and I'm sitting in my chair and it's jabbing in my hip. So most of the time when I'm doing the show, the weapon's there every single time. So if you didn't see it, you just didn't see it. But yeah, when I do the show, the weapon sits right there. I come over to the office. It's late at night. Most I carry my gun anyway. But yeah, I'm going to have my firearm right here, and it's going to be on the show. And if you don't like it, don't watch. That's just what I got to say, because I am not going to coddle anyone, not going to pretend I'm not who I am, because I am who I am. And that's what we don't need. We don't need fake people running for office, pretending to be something they're not. I care about the folks of Rockdale County, and I care about the senior citizens. I care about them not being taxed out of home. I care about them being able to live their golden years in a place like Rockdale County that they've invested in their whole lives. I don't want to see them have to sell their homes to be able to survive. I don't want them to see them have their homes sold at a tax sale on the courthouse steps. Because I'm the kind of person who will fight for you, the seniors, and all the citizens of Rockdale County. I just won't represent an ideology or a party. I will represent every citizen of Rockdale County, and that's what I believe. Uh, so I believe that we need to have government that represents people first. So replying to Clayton Wood, there are 2 pickleball parks they have listed. It's just going to be like the dog park that's out in South Rockdale. Those 3 dogs that go there, I personally know them. My dogs know them. So, we not, guys, we put the dog park there. You put a dog park here, Johnson Park. People, those things are just not utilized. We got them. Let's keep them. Let's sell costly meal. Let's dump some of these other parks that are duplicated and on top of each other, so the county doesn't have to do upkeep on them. That's one way that we can save money, is by not duplicating services uh, and do that. So let me put this up here. I got to put this up here. When Sherry was asked who was on the infrastructure task force, her response was it was the first she had heard about it. Okay. I hear you. Judy Bond, that's something I think you know you have the right to believe. Historical section of our county, but it was privately owned historical. Um, I think it needs to be privately owned again. Uh, the county needs to get out of the park business. We need to determine through a study what is the actual number of parks that we can maintain. Uh, I personally, and I've talked to a lot of people in Rockdale County who just don't think costly meal is the right fit for the county to own. So my thing was, we can either sell it to individual, and it can be a private facility, or we get the state to take it over, and we as part of the state park system. That's what I would suggest, because I think the county does need to get out of the park business, especially when we've got other things that are more dire, like our water, our sewer, our storm water. We talk about business growth in Rockdale County. That is just a section of the county that people are not going to go to. They're not going to attend a lot of things there. And those are factual things. Just because sometimes things are sentimental doesn't mean we should hold on to them. And I'm somebody who would not mind making uh, uh, hard decisions. I would not mind making hard decisions for the betterment of the county as a whole. And that's what I think. I think it all comes down to making hard decisions for the betterment of the county as a whole. And that's what we don't have going on now with our county government. We don't have a group of individuals who are making decisions that are the best decisions for the whole county. Um, as a whole. Like, Dan, I went to Costly Mill a couple of years ago, met somebody out there to do a walkthrough, and Alex and I went there a few years ago to do some campaign shots. And of course, they tried to run us off and get us to go get a permit and pay for doing a photo shoot. It was actually we did the we were doing some videos for a campaign. Judy, you grew up out there, and it's sentimental to you, and uh, and uh, and I understand that. But I think when we look at the county as a whole, the majority of the county doesn't hold that sentiment toward that. And if it's something that's just doesn't make sense, then it shouldn't make sense. And it's just like Parker Road. It didn't make sense to give that away, but yet buy a costly meal. Those we look at those kind of decisions. Uh, that's what I'm talking about. It's, we make decisions that didn't make any sense. We gave away the most valuable piece of property in Rockdale County that, if used properly, could have paid for itself many times more. But yet we go buy a piece of property that we're going to continuously have to maintain. I had talked to a chairman previously, not going to say what chairman previously, but they were trying to be enticed to buy that property, costly meal, with promises um, of kickbacks. And I have no reason to not believe that former elected official, who, that's one of the reasons that former elected official did not agree to purchase that property, is because there were going to be kickbacks associated with the purchase. And that person said, not on their watch. And I commend them for that. So, I find it amazing that shortly after someone else comes into office, that property was purchased by the county. So just saying, there's a lot of backdrop about why things happened, and one of the main reasons I would get the county would not be in that business anymore. The original reasons that it was purchased by some individuals that are in office right now. I firmly feel there may have been some sort of incentive for the county to purchase that for individuals that are holding office at this point. That's what I feel. So I feel that's also one of the reasons that particular piece of property doesn't need to be here anymore. And then Alex McDonald, I know Alex has a connection in that world, also in that area over there from the past. And he said the Bowmans certainly got a good deal, $1 million over the valuation of the property. So, guys, we paid over $1 million for one group of property, and then we gave Parker Road away for $10 a year, $10 a month, $10 a year, whatever. So we are leasing a piece of property whose value probably can't be even determined at this point what it should be if we would have used it properly. But yet we purchased a piece of property for over $1 million more than what it was worth. So someone, you've got to tell me, when these individuals make bad decisions, we can't continue to support those bad decisions. And if we change leadership, we can't continue to go along with them. So let me see this thing. Hold on. I'll put this up there. Response from Sherry. I am sorry. This is the first that I've heard about an infrastructure task force. Can you give me a couple of days to get some names? I know that they meet tomorrow. So this is clearly a task force that the chairman has set up. So these commissioners often do things and don't involve the others or don't inform the others. They just go, off on these wild tangents and create task force and say, here's a task force. So that's interesting. It's very complexing. And it's partly because of the type of government we have with 3 commissioners, and they are technically not supposed to communicate with each other directly about what they're doing. So I was informed the other day that they're looking at having a county administrator. instead of a county manager. So, and I think their consultants, their lobbyists have looked up, the difference between a county manager, county administrator, and they found some nuances and some differences between the two. So I think they are going to implement, instead of having the um, chief of staff, I think they're going to implement a county administrator to go along with this crazy position that they've made up for Sue Sanders, some sort of CCO position, and then the ridiculous positions that Jennifer Rutledge holds. Guys, I know these individuals have been here for a while, but maybe they're not the best individuals suited to hold the positions that they hold. And then if there is a new administration that comes aboard, those type of positions, to the victor goes the spoils. Those positions. I will just be frank with you and tell you that if I'm elected chairman of Rockdale County, there will be a big turnover in Rockdale County. One of the things that I'm going to look at, do you live in Rockdale County? That's going to be a very important factor in the decision making of who will hold those type of positions in Rockdale County. Because as chairman, one of my first things I'm going to do is, actually, if I would be elected, that during the month of December, I would be sending letters to certain members who are, county and upper level employees, asking them to resign at the first of the year. That's what I would be doing, is sending them letters asking them to resign. And that should be done, because if we elect a new administration, that administration has to feel comfortable working with the individuals that hold top level positions. And whether it be me or Medessa Ahmad, there is no way that anybody would feel comfortable working with those individuals, with knowing. And you're right, Dan Burks. You make people reapply, and then you ask certain people for their resignations. That happens in government every single day, and it is not would not be something that would be out of the ordinary for Rockdale County to do. One of the other things that I would do one of the first weeks in office would be present a resolution that would ban the county of issuing severance packages to directors and assistant directors, because the simple question, where do you live? Exactly, Kate Norrie. It is a very simple question. Where do you live? And another, we would work on this vehicle take-home policy. We would really limit the take-home vehicles to essential individuals who would need to be called out. So I would say we're going to sell a lot of vehicles. As chairman, I would not have a take-home vehicle. I would have a vehicle that would be a vehicle that the commissioners would have use of, that would be at the commission office, that we would use during business hours or for local trips or such as that. But there would be a vehicle assigned for the commissioners. Then there would be a vehicle for staff, and that would be it. When there would not be 7 or 8 vehicles assigned to the Board of Commission. And then we would look at each department, and in each department we would determine the number of vehicles that would be needed, and we would also determine, is there a need for take-home vehicles? Mary Boysworth, for the forensic audit will be one of the top 5. And when I say top 5, they're not going to be in any real order of one being more important than the other. But I will put together a top 5 during my campaign of things that we would want to accomplish in the first 30 days to move with. And a forensic audit would be one of the top 5. Like I said, we'll have a top 5 of our top 5 priority, then we would have a second 5, like a top 10 list. These are the first 5 things, and they would not be 1 through 5. They would be of equal importance, and then we would have a second 5 that we would need to do. And I think we would look and see how many things do we need to prioritize, and we accomplish that list. And I think it's important that the citizens of Rockdale County have someone run for office who would be able to prioritize those things and put those things in order as to how they need to be done. Corliss has a thing here. Let's see. David Corbin will be the interim when Mark leaves per email. So that's that's going to be your interim finance director is David Corbin when Mark Lewis's last day comes about. So I think that in Rockdale County we have the opportunity and the potential to make a large difference in our county, and all we have to do is stay persistent, demand that these things be done, and that we demand that our elected officials represent us all and not put their personal beliefs and needs ahead of the wishes of the citizens of Rockdale County. And that's what's happened with this leadership that we have in Rockdale County. They live in an echo chamber. They listen to the majority of the people they listen to, and the ideas they follow are not even citizens of Rockdale County. They are the department heads and the echo chamber that works for the board that do not live in Rockdale County. So that is interesting when we look at that. The people who influence our elected officials the most are not even residents of this county. And that needs to stop. I mean, they might not like some of us that live in this county because we are critical of them, but we do have more say, supposedly, as to what happens in this county than those people who work for the board who don't live in this county, who actually do implement policy. And their ideas are the ideas that the county commission implements, and the rules and laws and regulations we have to follow. And that type of mentality needs to stop. Rockdale citizens need to come first. Their ideas need to come first. And this commission needs to put those ideas and needs before the ideas of individuals who don't even live in this county. If you don't live in this county and you're trying to impose zoning and rules and regulations, I don't want to hear it. I do not want to hear it. You need to live in Rockdale County to have that type of influence in this county. The citizens of Rockdale County need to have the clear and top voice in this county. Citizens that are like in this chat right now, they need to be the voice. Clayton Norwood, he made a comment. So, fundamental frustrating. Rockdale's decision makers should at least live in Rockdale County. 1,000%, Clayton. And that's what Rockdale County citizens, we actually all believe that and all think that. But we get confused because of how elections are done and how elections take place. And we get all partisan, and we get all, if you got a D or an R behind your name. And that's reality, and that's what happens. Because people try to say everything isn't revolved around politics. Everything is political. Everything is revolved around politics. And Democrats and Republicans alike do not want to see an independent thinking community. They don't want to see individuals elected that don't belong to one of those clubs, because if they do, if citizens elect individuals who don't belong to those clubs, then you know what may happen? The citizens' interest may come first. And that scares the hell out of Democrats and Republicans. Don't let them tell you it doesn't. It does. It scares them to death. So, that's what we all need to think about is, do we want to elect people who are going to represent everybody, or are we going to elect individuals who are going to just represent a select group of people? That's what I think. So, guys, it's been great being on here tonight. 42-minute show, 45-minute show. That's long enough for tonight. I'm going to let you guys off. I'm going to let you enjoy the rest of your evening and your family. And I will be back this Wednesday evening. And maybe we can round the elusive George Kellichick up and get him on the show this Wednesday. We'll try, and I'll let you know. Later, guys. Thank you all. One more thing. Alex McDonald, 1,000%. Corbin will be a rubber stamp. If you're getting paid as a consultant, you are a rubber stamp. No chance for an audit now. Only chance for an audit will be to elect Larry Cox next year.